Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Palmy, and in today's video we're going to look at how we can create those really cool architectural lights using IES Light Profiles in Daz Studio. So let's get to it. So when I was doing my Googling searching for lighting, because you know I love to talk about lighting, I saw a lot of tutorials about IES lights and how they're used in Maya, however you pronounce it, Blender and all other forms of 3D rendering software except for Daz Studio, and I thought, well, we can't let those guys have all the fun, can we? So I'm going to show you today on how we can use IES profile lights in Daz Studio so we can create our own really cool lighting in our scenes. Now IES lights are only used for indoor, really architectural indoor environments only, but these lights can add a lot of extra character to your scene and really make your scene stand out from anybody else's who uses the normal like spotlights or the normal point lights or whatever lights you use, even HDR lights. So these are going to really make your scene stand out. So what I've got here is, you might notice the scene here. It's the actual thumbnail that I use for the rigging prop one. So I'm just going to put that on render. And while that's doing the iRay preview, I'm just going to leave that for a second because it's a bit heavy on the lighting. So it takes a while to render, do the preview. I'm just going to go and show you the difference. So here I've got the actual render and I've gone crazy with it and I put a lot of lighting and everything, which was this exact same thumbnail that I had in my rigging prop thumbnail on my YouTube channel. So this is it. I've had like lots of like light coming through and really bright light because I wanted like really bright scenery and I wanted to really put the focus on this, and I wanted the bright light coming through, and I got that effect, which is great. And then using IES lights, we can have the different spectrum, which is, I'm going to put that for you right now, which is, it looks like this is exactly the same scene. And we're using IES profile lights and we've got a completely different character to the scene, a different kind of emotion coming from the scene. So it's really great what you can do with lighting, how you can change the scene, the mood, the environment. And now you can obviously see it's like a nighttime scene here. So we got a bit of nighttime here. This is just a HDRI map at the end there. I've just lowered the actual environment down there. And I've got my IES lights coming down here. I've got one here, just lovely bouncing off here off the wall and this these items here. And then I've got one here to kind of make it look like the cooker, the hood here, the lights coming down here. And I've got another one here coming here and just bouncing the light off there. And then we've got another bounce here from this going over here with the IES lights. So as you can see with IES lights, we can really change what our scene looks like, and it looks completely different to what the other one was, where it's really bright, really powerful. And then you've got the exact opposite, which is like very dark, very serene, but it's like a nighttime scene. It looks very nice, and the way it looks and everything. So I'm going to show you how I did that today, and I'm just going to minimize this now. So here's what the actual scene looks like. And what I'm going to do now is just going to show you the settings I'm going to use now. So what I'm going to do is go to my render settings and go to environment. And I only want to do the scene, so I don't want no dome because I want to show you the difference. And this is the difference now. So you can see my point lights in this direction here. I'm going to get rid of that point light in a bit. So let me just turn this intensity back to normal. It's not going to make any difference really. So I'm just going to hide that point light because we don't need it. And the scene should go absolutely dark, which it does. Great. So I'm just going to come out of that. And okay, so here's my scene. Just going to go into perspective view because I want to keep that camera angle there. And we're too high there. Just want to turn this around. Okay. So what I did was with IES lights, you can either use point lights or you can use primitives. Now, with the point light, you'll need to use more luminosity to get the brightness because it's just the way point lights work. And with primitives, I would only suggest you use spheres because they are the most easiest to maneuver and use and put around your scene. The other ones don't really work as well. I've tested them all, and the one that works the best is sphere, and you really get the excellent lighting with the sphere. So I'm going to go with sphere. I don't really like using point lights. I don't like the way they work really, but that's subjective. So you can try it with point lights. You'll get a very similar effect. It's just that you'll have to boost up the luminosity. That's all. So I'm going to use a sphere, and I've got the segments don't matter, the size really don't matter, but that's what I've been using recently. And my diameter really doesn't matter as well because I'm going to rescale it anyway. So there's my sphere now. Should be here somewhere. There it is. Now it's far too big. So what I normally do is I will rescale it. So I use something like 10% or whatever it is, which is fine. Obviously the bigger you have it, the more your light will be, bigger it will be, but generally for architectural lights, we're going to use small lights anyway. So I'm just going to move this into position. Just going to drag that up, move it across, and I'm going to move it to over here where I had it in my scene. So I'm just going to move this across, and then I'm going to bring it up right about here. This probably needs to come out a bit because it's sticking in the wall. There we go. Okay, so that's where I roughly want it. We can always move it after we put our light in. So to get our light, obviously because it's primitive, we need to make it emissive. So I need to go to my surfaces, sphere, and find emissions. And it's black at the moment, which means it's off. So I need to turn it back on to white. Now it's active. And here's the actual magic, the emission profile. So I need to click on where it says none. I'm going to go to browse. Now the IES lights, I have made it available for you, the ones that I use here in this tutorial. So they are available. So if you check out the link in the description, it'll be there. You can download. There's loads and loads. There's like hundreds, ridiculous amount. Some of them I think are duplicates, but you probably wouldn't use all of them. But have a look, have a go, and see what you think will fit best in your scene. So I'm going to just double click here. I'm going to go to the first one, IES 1. And what I'm actually going to do is open this folder in a new window, because I want to show you some of these actual IES lights have actual JPEG files or image files that show you what it looks like. So when I double click, it'll show me what number 1 will look like. So number 1 looks like this. And if I keep going through, number 2 looks like that, 3 looks like that, 4 So try all the different ones and see what effect is good for you. I think the one that I used was, just trying to go back, it was this one here I think. Number 4 was the one I used. So I minimize that as well. So number 4, and I'm just going to change the luminance units to K 2000, because if you use the normal one, you have to put the luminance really high just to get it to work. So something like 10,000 is a good starting figure. And let's do a NVIDIA preview and see what it looks like. So while it's doing that, it shouldn't take too long hopefully. This scene is quite texture heavy, so even with my 2 graphics cards, it does take a while for it to kind of do the preview, but it will do it. Okay, so what have you noticed straight away? So what I wanted to do, I wanted to go up. There we go. Oh, too high up. There we go. So what have you noticed straight away? Our actual light is coming from this direction. So what we need to do now is we need to rotate it. So we go to parameters and we go to the actual X rotate and we put in our degrees. So if I do 45 degrees, so go in 45 degree angles. So 45 degrees, see where it moves. Okay, it's moving that way now. So I need to move it a bit more. So 90 would hopefully put it straight up. And then you'd think that if you do 180, it would be the opposite. And no, it doesn't actually. 180 takes it down there. So what you actually want to have it pointing down is an angle of about 270. And there we go. Now obviously it's very, very high, so I'm going to just change that in a bit. I'll show you. The light is too high, so if we go back to surfaces and luminance, probably something like 1000 maybe. That might be too low. So there we go, that's our light. So because it's close to the wall, we're getting a lot of light like it does, exactly like it does here on number 4. So it's very bright obviously because our luminance is very high. So if I move it out a bit, you'll see that it kind of softens. This bit here softens a bit. There we go. So we got a bit more softening here on the side, and we got lovely light bouncing off here. So if I go back to our original camera 1 view now, you'll see this lovely light here bouncing, and it looks really, really cool with the light coming down like this. So that's one IES light done. Now what you could do is, let's go back to my perspective view. What you could do is you could do edit, duplicate, and then duplicate the actual object. But I found there's a better way, is to actually use our node instances that I did in the billboard tutorial. So with the node instances, what that would happen is you would have an exact copy of the emissions here. This will be an exact copy of that. And what you would do then is, what would happen is you would literally control all of the emissions just using this one object. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to come out of IRA preview mode and go back to texture mode. Go to create and new node instance. Make sure I've selected the sphere because I want an instance of that. I'm just going to click accept. I'm not going to change the actual label. You could change the label or the name. It doesn't really matter. And what you'll find is that the sphere will be the original size. So if I come back a bit, or even better, turn around, there it is. So I need to obviously change the settings for this. So I need to put it back to 10%. And then we need to move into position. So I'm going to move it into the position which was, which was over here. So bring it up. Just lost that for a second. Over we go. It's not where I wanted it. That's the lovely thing about 3D is sometimes you do get lost even in 3D space, which is a bit crazy, but never mind. So, and this is why I don't really use these things, because this tool, because I do kind of get frustrated with it, but that's just me. Okay, so there it is. And when I do our preview now, it will have the same settings as the luminosity. So if I go back to the surfaces for the sphere instance, when I go back to surfaces for it, oh, sorry, there is no surface for it, obviously, because it's the instance. Because obviously the sphere instance is using the surfaces of the actual original here. So there you go. So all we need to do now is actually change the direction of this. So we go to parameters for the sphere instance and the X rotate, and because I want it to point down, it's going to be 270 degrees. And there we go. So if I go back to my actual original camera position, camera 1, there it is. That's the kind of lighting we had there. Okay, go back to texture shading and go back to my perspective. So if I wanted to change the lighting, I would go to the original object here, the sphere, and go to the emission, surfaces, emission. And then when I change, for example, say as you change the temperature, at the moment it's a 6500 Kelvin temperature. If I change to 4500, it'll go a bit more orangey, and it will do the same for the instance as well. So that's a great idea to use instances, especially for lighting. If you're going to have multiple lights and you know they're going to be roughly the same, about the same, using instances is a great idea. It's you know, you can control the temperature and the lighting, so you don't have to go through each individual lighting and then change it that way, which takes forever. So 4500 Kelvin temperature for the emission, and the luminance, say I want it a bit lower, say 500, just out of interest. There's the emission load as well. So I'm going to add another light over here by the windowsill, just above here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to create, new node instance, accept. Again, I've got to change the settings. So the scale was 10%, and I know the rotation was already 270, so I'm going to put that in there already. And then I'm just need to move it now into the correct position. Obviously, lighting is very subjective. You put the lighting where you want it the best. It depends what you're trying to show, what you're trying to highlight. So that's really what lighting is all about. The way I'm lighting this is probably not the way you will light it, which is fine, because it's very subjective. Lighting is, and we all know art is very subjective, and it's up to you how you want to light your scenes. There is no right way, there is no wrong way. It's whatever you feel, whatever you want to show. That's the beauty of 3D art or digital art or any kind of art. It's what you want to show, what you want to, the story you're trying to tell really in this scene. So I'm just going to double check with my preview if that's in the right place. It might be too high actually. Takes a while. And yeah, happy with that. That's cool. So if I go back to my original camera position, it'll start looking a bit similar-ish. Now, I think I remember what I did for this one was the lighting wasn't enough, so I actually created another sphere primitive as an object, not as an instance, because I needed more lighting to kind of give this, so you can see the character, the face of the character. So I'll do that now. So I'll just do another one. So create, let's get out of IRA preview mode just to, so it doesn't slow me down. Create new primitive sphere, accept, Here it is, and I want the same settings, so 10%, and I know my light is going to be pointing down, so 270 degrees. Then I'm just going to do my best to position it where I positioned it last time, if I can remember. It was a lot of tinkering and playing around with it to get the lighting as best as you can. So up we go, and let's see from this angle what it looks like. So let's do the preview. Just wait for that preview to come up, and while it's doing that, I'm just going to zoom it up a bit. Just pan up a bit. There we go. Okay. Of course, what did I forget to do? I forgot to do the emissions. So I need to go to the surface for this one. Go here. Go to emissions. Change that to white so it's activated. And I need to change that to K. And I'm going to start with something crazy like 10,000. And then I'm going to go to browse and actually go back to my IES lights, and it was, I believe, number 4. There we go. As you can see, it's very, very bright. It's probably too bright. Let's go to 5,000. And then I think what I did was, I believe I moved it across a bit. Maybe a bit more. Let's have a look. The original camera position, it needs to come across a bit more actually. And there we go, that was about it. And I think what I did here is I just moved it up a bit more, just to get a bit more softer light, because I didn't want it too bright. But I wanted the same luminosity, the luminance as much as that, but I didn't want it to be so high. So it's something like that, I believe. I think I had another light coming here pointing towards the face. But that was the gist of it. So there you go. That's what the lighting looks like. So now you're probably thinking, well, I can see the orbs, so I can see the spheres, so I don't understand, how did you get rid of them? So what we do for that is we actually go to our surfaces, and we go to scroll down in our surfaces, and there's an option here called cutout opacity. Now to make it invisible, which is what is called like a ghost light. It's called like a ghost light. So basically a ghost light is a light that's in the room, but you can't see the actual light where it is, the actual the origins of the light, so you don't know where it is exactly. So it's what we're doing here is we're actually creating ghost lights. So with the cutout opacity, what you want to do is you want to change to 0.0001. Now it doesn't have to be exactly 0.001. You could go 0.0001, but it needs to have a 1 at the end. Otherwise, if you do 0, it will just think that it's not there. So if I did 0 here, if I literally did 0, the value 0, it won't be there. You know, Daz Studio will think it's not there. You've cut it all out. The light's gone. There's nothing there. So you must have a value of at least 0.001. And you can even, you know, that would work fine. And there you go. And you can't see it anymore. So there it is. Look, you can't see it. It's technically invisible. So I'm going to do that with this sphere here as well, the original. Now remember, because these are instances, these are this sphere are instances. All I need to do is change this, and it will change the options for these two as well. So if I go to my sphere, go to my surfaces, come down to where it says cutout, I'm going to do 0.001. And there you go, they've all disappeared, and you've got your ghost lights, so to speak, in your scene. And it's probably actually a bit too bright to do by this one here actually, so I need to change that. The emission's way too high on that, so probably something like 1,000. There we go, that looks a bit better. So there we go, that's kind of like we changed our mood, our nighttime scene, and now she looks a bit, judging by her face, she doesn't look too happy. Judging by her face, she looks a bit disgruntled. So I'm going to leave the tutorial at that, I think. So I hope you found it useful. So this is how we use IES lights. Obviously, you can use the different lights here. So you got, you know, there's so many in that pack that I've got. So don't forget to check out the link in the description and then have a look, download it. There's loads in there. You can also download it from the internet. There's loads. If you just type in free IES light profiles, there's loads of websites that have them as well. If you're not happy with these, that's fine. And have a go, see what you can do with these architectural lights. They're ideally used indoor. indoor scenes, but I haven't used them outdoor. I will try some outdoor scenes and see what they look like, because I think they are useful for outdoor as well. And like I said, just have a play, see what you can do, and see how this affects your lighting in your renders. So there you have it, some fantastic information there on how you can use IES Light Profiles to light your indoor scenes. And don't forget, the profiles that I'm using in the tutorial, you can download them below, link in the description box down below. And if you found value from this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to leave a comment or any questions, leave them down below as well, much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in next week's video.